Ma'am, I must ask you to remove that necklace, the judge said, his voice echoing with the sterile authority of the courtroom. This chamber has strict decorum. Unauthorized decorations are not permitted. Ella Anderson did not move. She sat in the third row of the public gallery, her back straight, her hands resting calmly in her lap. Her gaze was fixed on the young sailor standing before the bench, a kid named Peterson, who had gotten a speeding ticket he couldn't afford. Ella was here for him. The object in question rested against her simple red blouse. It was not a necklace. A pale blue ribbon, dotted with 13 white stars, held a 5-pointed star of gold, an anchor at its center, surrounded by a laurel wreath. It was the Medal of Honor. Judge Harrington peered down from his elevated bench, his expression one of pure annoyance. "Ma'am, did you hear me?" he pressed, his gavel tapping lightly. "The bailiff will assist you if necessary." The bailiff, a burly man with a kind, tired face, shifted his weight. He took a half-step forward and stopped. But something about her stillness gave him pause. He could see the intricate detail on the metal now, the way it caught the flat fluorescent light. It felt heavy. "Important, Your Honor," Ella said, her voice clear and steady. "It is authorized." The simplicity of her statement seemed to enrage the judge further. "Authorized by whom?" "I am the authority in this courtroom. This is not a parade ground. It is a place of law. Take it off, or I will have you removed and held in contempt." The young sailor Peterson glanced back at her, his face a mask of panic. He opened his mouth to speak, but Ella gave a slight shake of her head. This was not his fight. "The dignity of this court is paramount," the judge continued, his voice rising. "We cannot have citizens appearing as if they are attending a costume party, wearing whatever trinkets they see fit." Trinket. The word landed with a dull thud. The bailiff began walking toward her, his steps slow and reluctant. Every instinct screamed at him that this was wrong. The air in the room was thick with a tension he had never felt before. It wasn't the tension of a verdict. It was the tension of a desecration about to happen. Ella's composure remained absolute. She had faced down men with rifles and rocket launchers, men whose eyes held a burning, murderous hate. The petty tyranny of this judge was nothing. It was just disappointing. It was a failure of the system she had sworn and bled to protect. "Bailiff," the judge commanded. "Yes. Remove the contraband and escort the woman from my courtroom." Contraband. The word was an absurdity. The bailiff reached her aisle. "Ma'am," he said, his voice low, almost an apology. "Please don't make this difficult." Ella turned and met his eyes. She saw the conflict there. It's a shame. She gave him a small, sad smile. "Just doing your job, I understand." She made no move to stand nor to remove the medal. She would not participate in its dishonor. If they were to take it, they would have to do it themselves. The judge slammed his gavel down like a cannon shot. "I find you in contempt of court. I am ordering you detained." He leaned forward, his face flushed. "That gaudy necklace of yours will be held as evidence." Gaudy necklace. The phrase was a spark hitting dry tinder. For a fraction of a second, the courtroom dissolved around Ella. The stale air was replaced by the thick, metallic scent of blood and cordite. The judge's voice became the high-pitched whine of incoming mortar fire. The ribbon on her neck was no longer silk, but a trauma bag strap biting into her skin as she low-crawled through shattered concrete. He could feel the phantom weight on her back, not a pack, but a body. A young Marine from Ohio who had been telling jokes just an hour before. The medal wasn't a memory of victory. It was a scar. It was a testament to the cost of a single afternoon in the Helmand River Valley. A reminder of the 4 men who came home under a flag because of her, and the 2 who didn't. The judge saw a decoration. She saw ghosts. At his desk, off to the side, the court clerk, David, felt a cold sweat bead on his forehead. He was 24 years old, a Marine Corps veteran. He knew his ranks and ribbons. He knew exactly what that pale blue ribbon meant. He had heard the citations read aloud by drill instructors until the words were burned into his memory. And he was watching a pompous, ignorant judge order a bailiff to rip it from a woman's neck. This was wrong. This was a violation of something profound. David's hand moved under his desk. He pulled out his personal cell phone and found the number for his old master gunnery sergeant, now stationed at Naval Base Coronado. It was a breach of protocol, but he didn't care. "Master Guns, it's David Cho," he whispered. "Sorry to call like this, but you're not going to believe what's happening. Joe, you sound spooked. What's going on? There's a woman here. Veteran. The judge is holding her in contempt. David took a shaky breath. She's wearing the Medal of Honor. He just ordered the bailiff to confiscate it. The silence on the other end was absolute. When Master Gunnery Sergeant Reyes finally spoke, his voice was flint and steel. "Give me the address and courtroom number. Now." David rattled off the information. "Keep your head down, Cho. We're on our way." The line went dead. David looked up at Ella Anderson. He had just lit a fuse. The call ignited Naval Base Coronado like a wildfire. Reyes went straight to the base commander's chief of staff, interrupting a logistics briefing. Within minutes, the chain of command moved with breathtaking speed all the way up to the office of the commander. U.S. Pacific Fleet. Admiral Thompson was in the middle of a meeting with a foreign naval delegation when his aide placed a handwritten note face down in front of him. He read it once. Twice. The diplomatic warmth vanished from his face. The note was simple. McPoe, Ella Anderson. County Courthouse, Courtroom 4B Judge ordering medal confiscated. He stood up. "Gentlemen, you must forgive me. A matter of extreme national importance has arisen." He walked out. "Full dress uniforms," he told his aide. "Get the base commander and Master Chief Reyes. We're going to the courthouse now." Back in Courtroom 4B, the bailiff had placed his hand gently on Ella's arm. "Ma'am, you have to come with me." "You will surrender that decoration," the judge boomed, "as evidence of your contempt. You are willfully obstructing justice." The young sailor Peterson finally broke. "Your Honor, stop. You don't know who she is." Silence. The gavel came down again. "One more outburst, and you'll be joining her in a cell." It was at that exact moment that the heavy oak doors at the back of the courtroom swung open, not with a creak, with a solid, definitive thud. Framed in the doorway stood Admiral Thompson. 4 silver stars glittered on the collar of his pristine service dress white uniform. On one side stood the base commander, a 2-star rear admiral. On the other stood Master Gunnery Sergeant Reyes in Marine Corps dress blues, a slash of color and rigid formality. Behind them, a silent flank of officers and senior enlisted filled the entrance. They didn't storm in. They walked. Measured steps. Black dress shoes making a soft rhythmic cadence on the tiled floor. The sound was more intimidating than a shout. It was the sound of purpose. It was the sound of an institution arriving to protect its own. The judge's mouth hung open. The bailiff snatched his hand from Ella's arm as if he'd been burned. Every head turned. Admiral Thompson's eyes locked on the unassuming woman in the 3rd row. He walked past the bar separating the gallery from the court and stopped directly in front of her. The room was so quiet the hum of the overhead light sounded like a roar. Then the Admiral did something that shattered every remaining shred of Judge Harrington's authority. He brought his heels together with an audible click and raised his right hand in a salute. So sharp it seemed to cut the air, a 4-star admiral, saluting a retired enlisted woman. He held it for a long, silent moment. "Master Chief Petty Officer Anderson," he said, his voice a calm baritone that carried more power than any gavel strike. "It is an honor to see you again." He turned slightly toward the bench. "For the edification of this court, this is Master Chief Hospital Corpsman Ella Anderson, United States Navy, retired." On October 17, 2012, in the Helmand River Valley, Afghanistan, platoon was pinned down by overwhelming enemy fire. With 3 Marines critically wounded in the open, she left her covered position and ran directly into the kill zone. She was wounded by shrapnel. She kept going. She was shot in the shoulder. She kept going. She stabilized all 3 casualties and refused evacuation for herself until every wounded Marine was safely on a helicopter. Her actions are directly credited with saving 4 lives. The judge's face had gone from flushed red to a pasty, sickly white. The gavel lay forgotten. "That trinket," the Admiral said, his voice dropping to something dangerously quiet as he faced the judge directly, "is the highest honor this nation can bestow. Its wear is not only authorized, it is encouraged by federal law. Your order to confiscate it was not just an insult of the highest order. It was an order to commit an unlawful act." Then Ella rose slowly to her feet. She looked not at the Admiral, but at the judge. There was no triumph in her eyes, only a deep, weary sadness. "Your Honor," she said quietly, "I respect this courtroom. I respect the law. Standards are important. I spent 30 years of my life enforcing them. But standards must be applied with wisdom. They should not be used as a weapon of ignorance." She paused. "Don't soften standards. Just be better at recognizing them when they're right in front of you, the judge stammered. He dismissed the contempt charge. He dismissed Peterson's speeding ticket. He adjourned the proceedings. Admiral Thompson and his entourage escorted Ella from the room, leaving Judge Harrington to sit alone in the wreckage of his own reputation. In the weeks that followed, Harrington was formally censured by the State Judicial Review Board. A mandatory training program on Veterans Affairs was launched at the courthouse. And 1 month later, in the canned goods aisle of the base commissary, the judge found Ella again, smaller, without his robe, older, deeply tired. "I wanted to apologize again," he said quietly. "What I did was unforgivable, but I'm asking for your forgiveness anyway." Ella studied his face. She saw genuine remorse. She had spent 30 years building people back up after their worst mistakes. That instinct didn't retire when she did. "What's done is done, Mr. Harrington," she said. "What matters is what you do now. The new training program is a good start," he nodded, relief flickering in his eyes. "Thank you, Master Chief." He walked away. Ella watched him go, then continued with her shopping.